Okay, hi. This is just an add-on to our class, to our webinar last night. I just wanted to finish it properly. It ended before I was really comfortable with the ending of it. So this sometimes happens. Sometimes you do a chart and you do the session, and you touch things, but there's something more to be said. And it hits you after, so you have to call back to the person and finish it and complete it. So just it's in the experience. And here, the challenge was that we don't have someone giving feedback at the time and talking about it. So I just felt it was needed to put a little more positive spin on the options. Okay, whether they be considered positive or not, that's another thing. But I'm not going over the timing. We talked about the inhibition is difficulty around relationships, and there's difficulty being satisfied, feeling appreciated, fear, perhaps of love. I think you would call it a fear of abandonment, because being separated from his mom early, and his nature was geared to align with someone, to meet someone, do everything for the person, to be dedicated, to be doing everything for the person, and expecting them to be backing him up. But there'd be a tendency for that to be too much, and it would appear from the other person that it would be high maintenance. He's asking too much. He's not thinking about me. He's doing his things. He's just wanting my attention, and it's would be I don't know, acting like a big kid or something like this. But he mentioned how his short relationships, they ended quickly, and he was concerned about his relationships, and if at this time, if it's too late or whatever. So we touched around this, but I wanted to just, when we touched on the sun in the 5th house and his tenants, and his Mercury and Pisces in the 6th, his ability to write, to compose, to play music, and to make his ideas happen. That's his strength. Have skills that would make things happen, and that be able to have skills that can be useful to you. That's great. To play music and hold your timing and be that, and together you can work with other people and it makes them look good too. So the music was definitely a plus. We talked about how the singing lessons could work on his Pluto Venus and help improve the fear of love, a fear of emotions or blocks around it, because you can't half sing, you have to really sing. So this was the point that got me thinking, and to come back to this in a minute. The other thing was, this guy got his master's degree. He accomplished in architecture, accomplished a great thing. And then he didn't get any work. It didn't get working, except that he did settle to teaching it for a while. Teaching is not bad, because that follows the air and the communication, but it's perhaps a little too passive. It might be one of his options. But when I look at this, there's the potential of being at a big crossroads, like at a turning point in his life. So his ability to play music and to sing would be one thing, but that singing could easily be chanting. It could easily be by picking up chanting, or it's almost like if he accepts, I may be alone. If he decides, well, this isn't working, I can't just hang around forever, I can't keep these things going like this, I can't be getting hurt like this. And if he gets to a point where he realizes, well, maybe I'm going to be alone, it's not set. He has his choices, but it could be the beginning of really a spiritual path. If that's so, the Venus could be the chanting. If he started chanting and liking himself and liking what he's doing, and we get in relationships, and we sleep with someone, we talk with them, and we share the most intimate things, we feel safe and things, and then when it goes wrong, we get really devastated. And yet, we don't talk to God like that. We don't talk that intimately to God, not usually. So it's just, that was echoing with me when we finished last night, and I just wanted to say there's certainly a strong potential. This chart, while it's difficult around relationships, has challenges around the relationships, if it's spiritually centered, this is a really strong and creative chart. So possibly the healing thing of Pluto to the Venus is chanting and building up an emotional, devotional side, and being able to build that in as part of his life until he started liking himself or liking God, or like why wouldn't he like God as much as he liked the woman? Okay, so this is a puzzle. I'm not saying it has to be. I just want to add this in because we didn't get to this in the class. I want to add this on to the video, onto the video. So that the chanting, the mystical side, that was something that I just said the music. I didn't mention the chanting, so that was why I wanted to add. One of the things I wanted to add in. Also, this sun in the fifth house, the need to perform, the need to play. That's the musician. That's the creative person. He could be a writer and a teacher. He could compose. I mean, we talk to these things. The Libra air, moon, the Aquarius air, imagine the Pisces, even though they have cautions and they're reserved, he's got tremendous potentials and they're perhaps underused. So with Saturn coming up through this creative phase, it's come over to Pisces. He knows how he doesn't want to live. He's starting to build up things. Saturn's coming up to go over his Venus. It's going over his Venus right now. And it's coming up to his fifth, sixth house, where this is not only is it the period of the area of performance and play and learning how to play, it's also the area of discipleship. The fifth, sixth house, the area of service and discipleship and learning how to pattern oneself to become a better spiritual person. So that is in there too. So if he had a spiritual centering, he would be a formidable writer. Everyone would love him. He could write mystical songs, pageants. His intelligence would be guided from his heart. But there's been a haunting thing of projecting it out and looking for it in a social role. And just as his planets aren't above the horizon that much, he's the lifestyle that the other person would bring the social role into them, but he's not the best sharer in those areas. That's not his strongest suit. So, but if he had a great album, a great video, a perfect song that everybody loved, it's his ticket to being loved and to liking himself. So whether that came from playing music, or whether that came from having a band or putting things together and going, that would be good. But he's got a clear energy. He can't, as long as he's afraid or he's feeling put down or he's only holding together with people that are not. If the woman's like sleeping with the guy he's working with and they're working together, that's an intolerable situation. That won't last for very long. So, and he's on the rejecting edge of that. So here you have kind of the lone wolf that still needs to howl, still needs to travel, the singing, have the band to go. These are all things that would work really well for him. But to do it properly, he would have to have his heart in it, where he loved what he was doing. He's always felt he was ready to compromise what he's doing, to fit in with him, but he has the need to love what he's doing. When he liked himself, and with this Venus in Capricorn, this comes with maturity, with a bit of age, and a bit of restraint. So it's funny because he has it's even the Aquarius and the Mars, it's in Saturn ruled signs saying restraint, listen, which is good for music. But it's also works better as one gets older. So his insecurities, anxiety, it's like you're not supposed to, when you meet someone, you're being with someone, you don't give up your sense of God to be with a person. You hold on your God primary, and the relationship is the secondary thing. If you make the relationship your God, then troubles come in. So it works for a while, and maybe for some people it works better than others. But here's someone's just questioning his life, questioning, why am I alone? Why am I feeling he's got things difficult around him? He's being treated for depression, and he's doing his depression. And you can see the melancholic side, but it's really there because he just wants to be appreciated and listened to and liked. But when he's looking for that sexually, it hasn't worked that well because he's not the best social player or social interactor. But if you look at it for artistically or beauty or sharing beauty or being appreciated for his value, wow, everybody will love this guy. Everybody will love this guy. He can write songs that make people cry and just open things up. So there's a lot of power in it. It's a simple little thing, but I wanted to add this on to the session just because I didn't click into it at the end of the session last night. So yeah, it fits to it's got to fit to the natal chart. So we worked the natal chart, but we looked at the difficulties. But that Sun Mars is meant to be the dancer, the performer, the actor, the player, the musician, the person running a band, doing things like rock and roll music. Why not? But there's a mystical side inside of this that answers his aloneness. Otherwise, he gets too angry and it maintains his depression. So in terms of solution to the depression, it's an emotional factor. And that's the Venus in the fourth house, wanting to be liked, wanting to be loved, but be afraid of it, trying to over-control it, or being overly afraid of losing it. When you're afraid of losing it, you're trying to over-control it, and that's already not trusting. So this is Capricorn. He has to build up a work to build up something of value. He's already done it a couple of times. Why bother now? If why bother if nobody cares? But why would any care if he hasn't bothered? So just because he's where he is, he still has to bother and put something together and work at something and get better at something. And like music, scales, writing, you're always trying to improve. You're always trying to get better. When you finally get something good, and if he writes a good book or gets a good song, and it's liked, it could be liked around the world, then the multiple appreciation starts to gather for him. But they're trying, I gotta have a family, I gotta have a kid, I gotta have a home. It's not been working that well for him. So I think the standards that he grew up in had issues of abandonment in it, had difficulties within it, and he's having to grow beyond that block right now. Astrology is a useful tool for this. And yeah, so this is just what I want to add on, just to complete the session. We touched on, but not quite in this way. It's really possible if he started reading really spiritual books and started finding teachers to teach them that he liked, that he learned, that he started building that up, he could be a very wise person that everyone's coming to. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Thanks. Okay, bye.